Hi, I'm Victoria and I'm a life coach and neurolinguistic practitioner. And today, day 2 of lockdown, and I want to share some of my insights with you that I've had over the last few days. So, I so want to do 2 different topics today, but I can't because otherwise the video will be too long. So, I think today what I'll reflect on is the impact of our actions on ourselves. So, our actions toward other people and how we think and behave toward others, and how that impacts us as individuals first before we even have any effect on anyone else. And I think tomorrow what I'm going to talk about is identification with our environment, because both of those things are very, very important, especially now in lockdown, and especially with regards to how we could possibly be feeling right now. Okay. So, anyway, so let's talk a little bit about behavior. And I don't want to dwell on the negative, but I've seen a lot of negative posts going on online, and I don't like it personally. I don't enjoy the negative side of things, and I don't enjoy the constant complaining and bickering. But I had to sit back and reflect on why are people behaving with it in an angry way. And yes, I did discuss anxiety and how fear could lead to this, but I want to explain how this anger and negativity impacts on you as a human being. All right? Because everything that we do to anyone else, we do to ourselves first. Think about what I've just said. Anything that we do to anybody else, we do to ourselves first. Now, why is that? How do I even make that statement, and how do I validate that statement? Well, if you watch my video about how I explain our belief systems and our filters, and then the thought process, and then which leads to emotions, which leads to action, and then to feedback, you would know that this is the fundamental basis for how we function, all right? And so think about this. You have an angry disposition towards somebody, or you treat somebody badly. You have to first have a belief that treating them badly is needed, that that's what needs to happen, which is filtered by an experiential library of understanding. It then leads to a thought, which you have to conjure up in your mind, which leads to an emotion, which you feel within you, which is, if we're talking about something negative, we're talking about anger, fear, or sadness, all right, which then leads to an act. Whatever that act may be, whether we act it out in the privacy of our own homes, or whether we act it out to the person we're angry with, or whether we verbally assault, or whether we verbally assault online, whichever way it happens, we first have to deliver all of that to ourselves, to our own psyche, our own state of our own heart. Our own emotive state gets affected by all of those things that we're thinking. And so everything that we do to everybody else, we first do to ourselves. It's destructive, beyond destructive. I can't imagine what it must be like to live like that every single day. In a negative space, that is. Because the converse is also true. When you're doing something good for somebody else, you're first giving that to yourself before you're giving it to anybody else. You first have the belief, which is filtered by an experience, which is then leads to a thought, which then leads to the good emotions that you feel when you want to give something to somebody, when you want to share with somebody, when you want to share love, when you feel that love, the compassion, the empathy, the goodness that comes into your heart, generates good chemistry and good feelings within your body. which then leads to an action. That action is then expressed and affects another person's life for the better. So I want to ask you, in all of this that is happening, what are you delivering? Not only to the people around you, but what are you delivering to yourself? I had a discussion with a political professor from Beijing, and he asked me, he wanted to know the sentiment of the people in our country, but generally speaking, he wanted to know the sentiment of our media, our mainstream media, and he was just trying to understand, what is everyone's feeling right now toward China and toward the Chinese. And I said to him, well, somewhat mixed feelings, and there's certainly blame. But I said to him, there's more than that has come up than just the China, the blame toward China now. I'm going to tell you now, anybody comments on here and says anything negative, I'm going to delete the comments immediately. I do not tolerate any kind of overt criticism of any nation, race, or culture. Okay? But I do want you to reflect on how your critical nature, your contentious nature, your angry nature, your fearful nature impacts you first before it impacts anyone else. And challenge you to turn it around. Okay, we've got a lot of time to sit and contemplate and think about ourselves and think about the impact that we have on the world. And if our lives were extended and given back to us, what would we do with the time? What would we do with our energy? What would we do with our intentions? What kind of life do we want to live? If we were remembered by our community, family, friends, how would we want to be remembered? So, what is your impact on the world? And there is never anything good that comes out of anger and aggression. And so the message that I leave with you today on the day 2 of lockdown is that everything you do, whether it's good or bad, to other people, you first have to inflict that damage and that pain on yourself before it can be inflicted anywhere else. I welcome the debate on that. I really do. We had a debate with a friend of mine with regards to service. And what is truly selfless? When giving to another human being, or giving even to animals, just giving generally, always gives to you before you give to whatever it is you're giving to. Is service ever truly selfless? And that was an interesting debate. We never really came to a complete conclusion, other than to say that every time we give, we are always receiving. We can never give without first receiving, because as we give to ourselves. And I want you to give good gifts. Let's make a pledge today to give good gifts to everybody, no matter their race, no matter their nationality, no matter their culture, no matter their gender, no matter their age. Let's give good gifts. And that's my day 2 reflection for you in coaching. So I hope that you will join me tomorrow on day 3 when we discuss identification with objects, material things, and emotions. Actually, it's going to be a fun one, a little longer than today's, but it's going to be a fun one to go through, and it will touch a little bit on the ego as well. And I look forward to sharing that with you tomorrow. Go give good gifts, and I hope that you spread light and love and goodness and kindness, and not anger and aggression, because We want you to be filled with light and love and goodness and kindness. Have a good day.